Hey everyone, Rob Phoenix here. I thought I'd do a little kind of conversational video about um, kind of what led me into the practice of powwow and why it's so important to me, uh, why I do it, how I picked it up, that sort of thing. I want to say that my mother and her family were from a blend of Germany and Ireland. So I grew up with the church of my mother, which was Irish Catholic. But as I was like late teens, early 20s, you know how you do. You just kind of stray off the path and you kind of experiment. And the religion of my grandparents was German Reformed. But I wasn't interested in that. I was really looking for something a little more ritualistic, um, but less kind of strict. So anyway, I kind of found my way into sort of alternative religions, New Ageism, neo-paganism, Wiccaism, or whatever. And so that's where I was in my early 20s. Now, I had heard of powwow. Of course, growing up in Pennsylvania, you hear about powwow, but I didn't know much about what it was. I thought powwows, were people who could control the weather. I didn't know. I had never visited a powwow. Um, I just kind of thought I knew they could heal. I just kind of thought they were more weather related. I don't know. I just never thought about it. But so during my studies within like neo-paganism, I was introduced to powwow, but it was kind of through this neo-pagan lens, and it was like the Wicca version of powwow. And I thought, well, I heard of powwow. This sounds right to me, and I just remember thinking, wow, I always thought powwow was about God and Jesus, but really it's about all these like goddesses and Wicca spirits and such. I had no idea. That's so cool. And it's so I tried using powwow in that context, and it didn't work for me. And I just didn't feel like I understood it. I just thought I'm not feeling all this goddess stuff or nature gods and goddesses and such. So, but I really like powwow. I really like what I've read so far about it, and so I kind of went off on my own and really just sort of embraced powwow and started studying the history. And I thought, well, my family's from Austria. Uh, some people say they can tell that by looking at me. That I have Austrian ancestry, and here we are. So, I just felt that this was right for me. Pennsylvania German powwow was absolutely correct for me. Just because the sort of neo-paganism stuff, it didn't work for me. I spent years trying to make this work for me, but really, at the end of the day, Jesus was calling me home. And so I went back to my Christian faith, but this time it was with the faith of my grandparents, my paternal family, which was German Reformed. And this seems more true to me. It's more correct for me. It's more who I am. It's more how Jesus speaks to me and how God works through me in the world through this translation. But I don't limit myself to German Reformed. I just think it's a little more kind of me than Catholicism. But really, I say my faith is in Jesus Christ, and the way I express my faith is through powwow. So I don't want to claim, a connection to a specific religion or a translation of the Bible or whatever. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe in God the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. And the way I manifest my faith in the world is through the practice of powwow. So, that's where I am with powwow. Powwow works for me once I figured out sort of like the key to powwow is it's not that you just believe it works and then it works, because that's like saying, well, I believe if I stand in front of this bus while it's traveling at 60 miles per hour, I'm going to survive the experience. And then that being true, it's an irresponsible thing to put out there. So when people say, as long as you believe, then it's going to work, no, that's not true. The trick with powwow that I learned is that it is God manifesting what it is you're asking for. The powwow charms and gestures and the techniques and the talismans and everything else, they're almost like coded messaging to God to express to Him exactly what it is you're hoping to bring into this world. And then it's up to Him to do that. There are things that tap into archangelic energies or astrological energies, but all these things that we do, these specific like talismans we draw, the words we say, the gestures we do, they're all a means to an end. We do all these things, and that sends that signal to the heavens for God to say, this is what needs to manifest, and that's up to Him to make that happen. So anyway, that's where I'm at, in life. And for me, powwow is surrendering myself to God, surrendering that need to God, and saying it's in God's hands now. But also on more of an earthly kind of physical level, I work a lot with herbs. You can see here, sorry. Like I have lots of herbs. I do a lot of work with those in my kitchen, my home, and work out in the garden, planting and growing and harvesting vegetables and such, and working with phases of the moon and astrological energies and such. So powwow is a connection to all of those things. But ultimately, the power behind powwow is God. So that's where I'm coming from. Why does powwow work for me? Because I believe in God. And I believe that it's best for us to say, God, this is what we need, and I place it in your hands. And so, through no power of my own, but through God's power. So, that's what powwow is to me. That's how it works for me. That's why I embrace the tradition, and I feel very good about it. I hope that makes sense. I hope you kind of learned something from this, and I hope you're having a good night. We have some strange times coming ahead of us, so keep watching. I'm going to make some more videos in the coming days, but that's a little talk about how I came into powwow, what it means to me, how important it is to my life, and as an Austrian American, why I embrace the tradition of powwow, because it's in my blood. It's in the culture of my ancestors. All right. God bless you all. Love you all. Have a great night.